Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Kiorkof, and welcome to. Am I really not in focus here? Damn, really like this? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm about to say. I was like, am I out of focus that quickly? What's up, everybody? My name is Kiorkof. As you guys already know, am I still out of focus? Is this camera gonna? Hello, camera. Wake up, buddy. Let's go. The lights are on. Dude, it is okay. Microphone, get out of the way. Hello, camera, focus on me, please. Right here. Come on. Oh no, it's gonna do this the whole time. What a classic. Okay, there we go. All right, now we're back in focus. What's up, guys? I mean, for a second there, I thought it was over. I thought it was all over. All right, guys, I'm back for the third day in a row for a live stream, huh? I think that's probably tied a record, which is obviously fantastic. Hopefully tomorrow we'll try to keep it at four in a row. The entire purpose of these live streams are to potentially answer as many questions as possible. Of course, with the thumbnail being Jonathan Taylor and the news that have obviously kind of shaken up the fantasy football landscape as of today. Jonathan Taylor was not traded, as I'm sure you guys are aware. He has been placed on the PUP list, which means he will miss a minimum of 4 games, which means there is still a likelihood that he could be traded prior to him even ever starting for the Colts ever again. He could come off that PUP list after rehabbing for the next 4 weeks and then get traded once again if, in fact, an offer lands on the desk of the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts that potentially could be feasible and that they like far more than what they've received as of late. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But at this current moment in time, the value of Jonathan Taylor is significantly dropped. I mean, he's gone from being a guy that had the potential, of course, of being a top 5 back to now missing not only just the first 4 games of the season, but obviously whichever team he lands on, whether it's with the Colts or another team, if he does end up playing this season, he's going to miss 5 games minimum because of that bye week that's also included. So for the 14 weeks that you'll need him to make the fantasy playoffs, you'll only potentially get 9 games out of him, which makes him significantly more of a fantasy threat. There's a reason why Alvin Kamara goes as late as he does, missing just the first 3 games of the season. Of course, he has his bye week. I think Jonathan Taylor's probably like a low-end RB2 at this point, in my mind. He'll sit around the range of like, I don't know, maybe 20, maybe 21, the 21st overall back in my rankings. I'll go ahead and I'll change my projections over the night and I'll see where he lands. But at this point in time, it is not great. It is not great. Okay, so let's answer some questions. Before we do, of course, over the course of today's episode, I will be live drafting via Underdog Fantasy. So if you guys would like to join me, that'd be great. If you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, again, at this current moment in time, if you use code Andrew, if you make that first time deposit, minimum of $10, not only will you get a deposit match. So if you deposit 10, you'll get 10. If you deposit 100, you get 100. Not only will you get the deposit match, you'll get my 2023 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, updated rankings every single week, and of course, rankings every single week, weeks 1 through 18, every Sunday morning from my email to yours so that you are up to date on everything fantasy football related so we can help you win a championship. Also, of course, if you guys want to check out Underdog Fantasy, there's a link down in the description. Make sure that you're eligible to do so, whether it's via age or whether you're via your location. The map to the left side of the screen should give you an indication. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so let's answer some of these questions because it is going to be interesting. Let's see. What do we have here? Is Deion Jackson someone to look at? I mean, at this point, for the first 4 weeks of the season, yes, because the assumption is that Zach Moss will not be back for those first couple games because he's still dealing with the broken arm. So Zach Moss not being back, it's going to be between Evan Hull, the rookie, or Deion Jackson. Deion Jackson, my assumption would be clearly not only just the receiving back, even though there's not going to be like the receiving upside considering it is a mobile quarterback offense. We all know that there is a correlation. If you have a mobile quarterback, the likelihood of getting more targets out of the backfield is significantly less than if you were with a immobile quarterback in comparison. But yes, Deion Jackson should be the starter to begin with, and he'll probably have some value. As to the upside of said value, it's going to be purely dependent on how good of an offense this is going to be, but still, he could be a decent flex play in some of those matchups early on. Let's see here. Minister says, I don't like Hall this year, not going to lie. Spending a 4th round pick on someone who's coming off an injury in an RBBC is a steep price. No, I mean, you're not wrong. It is definitely a steep price. Where he's currently going at, the investment that you're making for Breece Hall already implies that he misses no games and that he has no setback over the course of the season. Because if at any point he does have a setback, the current price that he is at is absolutely going to be, pretty much, how like they call it the running back dead zone. He would be a dead zone back if in fact he misses any sort of time. Because again, they don't really have to force him to play, considering now they have Dalvin Cook. So if at any point a question kind of arises as to the potential health of him, at that point, then, it is tough. So I don't disagree with that overall mentality, Minister. Morgan was saying another day, another draft, Andrew. Yes, let's go, baby. Skills all day says, first live this season for me, but I've been keeping up. Appreciate the knowledge and what you put in all day. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Kyle Robinson says Jamar Chase or Christian McCaffrey at number 2. I'd probably take Christian McCaffrey number 2 in a half PPR scoring format. Me personally. Hey, Andrew, good evening. What's up, K-Mac? Hope you're doing well. Leave the Race says in a 12-team full PPR league, just drafted Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, Rashad White. I have A.J. Brown. Okay, so you have the QB wide receiver stack. Amari Cooper, Darren Waller, George Pickens, Antonio Gibson, Gallup, Nico Collins, and Samaje Perine. In a full PPR, having both those running backs, obviously both significantly are going to be used in the receiving game, so that obviously gives you a huge boost there. You have a top-tier quarterback. You have a top-tier tight end. You have, besides the top 7 wide receiver, you also have a wide receiver too that has already proven last year that he can be a wide receiver 1 within that offense. And then you have upside players like Pickens and Antonio Gibson off your bench. I think Nico Collins is a very sneaky starter. If in fact Nico Collins claims the wide receiver 1 role of the Houston Texans, he will be far more valuable than where he's currently being priced in terms of ADP. I did see that Mike sent in a super chat. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Mike says, where's the question for Mike? Mike says, hey man, rank my squad. I'm in a 12-team PPR league. I have Trevor Lawrence as my quarterback. My running backs are Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson and Akers and James Cook. Okay, so we got a pretty solid running back stable there, to say the very least. Diggs, Higgins, Pittman, Sutton, Addison, Hollywood Brown are my wide receivers, along with Goddard. And then I have the Packers defense. Packers defense has low-key been pretty consistent over the last couple of years. I have them a little bit slightly outside of the top 12 rankings for defenses, primarily because just the schedule that they have isn't one that I'm too excited about. But of course, every single year they spend a lot of NFL draft capital during the draft to bring in more talent. Obviously, they did that this offseason. So if that defense can step up and be the point of this entire team that can kind of carry going forward with the new quarterback regime and all that kind of jazz, it'd be great to see. But in terms of your running back depth, you have Pollard and Ramondre in a PPR, right? That's pretty solid to say the very least. You can start Akers and or James Cook in your flex going forward. But quite frankly, Diggs, Higgins, those aren't going to move out of your lineup. Pittman, I'm not 100% sold on. Sutton, I'm not 100% sold on. Addison, I love in comparison to those two guys. I'm not sold on Pittman and Sutton, primarily because their quarterbacks are the things that are holding them back ultimately. And then obviously having Goddard, you're pretty solid there with a top 7 tight end. So I have no problems there. Same thing with Hollywood Brown. Again, his quarterback is going to hold him back with Kyler Murray officially on the PUP list today, and he's going to miss the first 4 games of the season minimum. Hollywood Brown is at the expense of who is going to be playing quarterback for the organization with the Cardinals. They haven't named a starter because they want a competitive advantage. Really, I don't know anymore. It's going to be interesting. Let's see here. What do we got in terms of questions? Eric says, I have Adams, Ridley, Amari, Watson, McLaurin, Addison. Should I trade Amari Cooper for Breece Hall? If you're, I don't know what your running back depth looks like comparatively, but in terms of the value at which you would get Amari Cooper in comparison to Breece Hall, I don't even know what your scoring format is, but if you're in need of a running back, I'm okay with it. Jay Nice says, rate my team, and I'm in a full PPR. We have Lamar Jackson, we have Chubb, we have Taylor. Okay, there we go. There's Taylor. Again, like I was mentioning earlier, I would probably at this point adjusting my rankings probably later tonight, and I'll end up putting those out later this week prior to this upcoming weekend's drafts in terms of Patreon. And those of you who sign up via Underdog, I'll send those rankings to you. So make sure you keep an eye on your spam folder, because that's typically where my emails will arrive. I'll probably have JT as a low-end RB2 this season, considering he's not going to be doing us too many favors early on. So his overall investment needs to be a later overall pick in order to compensate for the lack of early contributions that he's making for our team. Now, you can try to pick up a guy like Deion Jackson in order to, wait and hold, but he's not going to be at the same level of what, the potential upside of Jonathan Taylor presents, unfortunately. But in terms of this roster, Chubb, Taylor, Ridley, Godwin, Kelsey, I mean, you still have a really strong team overall. I'm going to assume this is probably like a 10-team league because Lamar, Chubb, Godwin, Kelsey, Mike Williams, Taylor, like Ridley, these guys should not be on the same team. At least you have another top option with the Cowboys defense there. You have Addison, you have Herbert off the bench, you have Lazard. So you have enough depth on your team to be able to survive. That is the really good thing, Jay Nice. That's the positive point that we can take away from this. Let's see here. Agassi says, how do I buy your draft guide, Andrew? So there are two ways to access the draft guide. The first way would be via Underdog Fantasy. So again, you would go sign up using the code Andrew, like it says on the right side of the screen, and then you make a first-time deposit. So that means you've never signed up with somebody else's code before, and you've never made a first-time deposit. You do both those things, and Underdog will send you my updated draft guide as of today, and you'll get that, and you'll have the access, you'll have the updated rankings, etc. The other way would be via Patreon. There's a link down in the description. So if that's something that interests you, you can check that out. If you just want the draft guide, you can sign up for a month and then cancel the subscription so that you don't get further charged for other monthly services in that regard. Thank you. Let's see here. Damon says, greetings and peace to you. Thank you very much, Damon. Welcome. AGZ, what's up? How's it going? Says, did you not make a tight end SOS video? Am I not seeing it? No, I didn't make one. The primary reason why was because after making the other 3 strength of schedule videos, the viewership of the first 3 did not justify making a 4th one. So in terms of purely just behind the curtain, in terms of algorithm, it was killing me to put out strength of schedule videos. So I might just mention it in a future video coming this week, just to kind of like, hey, here's a tight end. Also, here's the entire tight end strength of schedule. This is the final results. I'll just throw it out there because I have the information. I have the graphics already made, but I was like, damn, like it's just, it doesn't justify me putting it out as a individual video. So I'll probably add that or tack that on somewhere. AGZ. Avid says, is Jahmyr Gibbs going too early in the 3rd round? Yes, I think he is. In a standard format, Avid, especially the one that you're playing in a 10-team league, 3rd round is way too early in my mind, especially considering the value that Jahmyr Gibbs is currently, like the momentum that surrounds him is purely under the assumption that he catches the ball 70 times this year. If he doesn't end up doing that, obviously for half PPR, full PPR, he does anything less, the 3rd round overall selection is going to be tough because I don't think he's going to be the goal line back for this organization. It's going to be David Montgomery. That's why they brought him in. So in a standard league, when you're not getting any sort of backed value off those receptions, and he's not the goal line back of the team, even if he's highly efficient in his rushing attempts and his receiving work, it could end up being something that kind of burns you in the end, specifically in the standard league at that round. Hi, Andrew. Do you reckon I should go with who should I go for in the Colts backfield in terms of waivers today? Is it worth it? I mean, again, if you need running back depth early, I mean, you could. Here's my thought process. It's going to be Deion Jackson. And then once it's not Deion Jackson, it'll be Zach Moss. And then it'll be a committee situation for the remainder of the year. Unless we do see Jonathan Taylor come back in week 5 and actually play for this team for the outset. Maybe they end up, coming to an agreement for a contract, and then everything kind of is all peacefully taken care of going forward. Kevin S., I just saw that you sent something in. Let me go ahead and answer that real quick. Kevin says, Kevin, do you have anything else besides that? Let me see here. Kevin, where are you at, my man? So Kevin S. says Mahomes, Henry, Mixon, Garrett Wilson, Godwin, and Waller. So that's your main pillars, huh? And then your other question was thoughts on Travis Etienne in the late 4th round. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with Travis Etienne there. I mean, I think the implied risk that kind of surrounds Travis Etienne is kind of baked in at that position, so I don't mind it. But in terms of your roster, Henry, Mixon, you guys know how confident I am with those two. I mean, especially if Henry keeps getting more and more work in the receiving game, as we anticipate, it probably won't be as much as, or it won't probably surpass what he did last year because Tajay Spears is a good receiving back. He'll probably work in as that receiving back that, who was the back last year for the Tennessee Titans, who was kind of Dontrell Hilliard. He'll probably work in that guy's role, and it will certainly affect Henry's receiving potential upside, but certainly if he gets more work there, those two guys are great. Garrett Wilson's a top 10 receiver. Godwin's a top 24 player, if not better. Waller's a top 5 tight end. Mahomes is, top 2 overall quarterback. So your pillars of success there are pretty strong, to say the least. Adrian Garcia in the chat was saying, Andrew, how concerned are you with Kenneth Walker? I know Seattle's draft is Jack Charbonnet, but I feel Walker has proven and showed last year that he deserves a good workload. I feel Pete goes with one guy. You're not wrong with Pete going with one guy. The history of Seattle's backfield has pretty much shown, even when they drafted Rashad Penny, Chris Carson was the guy for that full year. But Rashad Penny also did miss significant time due to an injury that year. So I don't know if that was it was purely a matter of, hey, because of that injury, Chris Carson was given the entire reins of the backfield, or if it was a matter of a situation of, I'll probably have to go do more research in regards to what happened back then in, 2018 when Rashad Penny was a first round pick. Was it 2018? Yeah, I think it was. But again, coaching philosophies change. And at this point, I think it's just so risky. I think where he's currently being drafted is perfect, because I do expect him to be a running back that can get 6 rushing touchdowns and hopefully close to 1,000 all-purpose yards. And if he's able to do so, where he's currently being drafted is perfect value for him. So if you do believe that he's going to be better, you can draft him a little bit earlier, but where he's currently being drafted, would be a pretty good discount in that regard. When entering the draft, what does purple lightning bolt mean? Oh, okay. So that's a question from, who's that from? ODY bro. Okay, so if you're an underdog and if there's an instant purple lightning next to the contest that you go into, you can hover that lightning bolt and it'll tell you what it means. If I'm not mistaken, it's an instant draft. So basically what your rankings are that you set before you even go into the draft, it'll auto draft your team. So basically, if you go to the rankings tab on Underdog, you can readjust your rankings. So what it'll do is it'll send 12 teams into this contest, and you won't even get to participate. It'll just insta draft all 12 teams, all 18 rounds, and it'd be done based on what your rankings are and what's available. So it's something like, hey, I want to preset my rankings and just let it rip. That's the kind of contest it is. So it's basically saying my rankings are better than yours. I'll find more success, kind of thing. All right, let's see here. I did see that Swerps was saying, rate my team. I'm in a full PPR. Justin Fields, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Travis Kelce, and Brandon Ayuk. Ultimately, your biggest strength is having Fields, Travis Kelce, those advantages. I think it's purely going to be a matter of, can Javonte Williams stay healthy for the full year? Him and Breece Hall, that is the pure question. If they miss time, there's other running backs in their backfield that are just as capable of being in good spots. So Javonte Williams scares me. It really does. Hopefully you have more running back depth on that team. All right, let's see here. We did see a question come in from Key Johnson. Key Johnson says, my $50 buy-in 10-team full PPR league consists of Trevor Lawrence, Bijan Robinson, J.K. Dobbins, the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle. We have also Darren Waller, Chris Olave. Wow, that is 10-team league. It makes sense that your team is stacked, but having Olave, Waddle, and the Sun God, and Bijan, and Waller, and Trevor Lawrence, no complaints at all. I think Dobbins is going to be good this season. I think he'll be a solid RB2. He's demonstrated, even with him hobbling around last season, that he can be a consistent back within that offense. They might throw the ball more, but ultimately it'll just pull more pressure off of him. I've mentioned it already this offseason, at least once for sure. Last season, J.K. Dobbins faced 8 defenders in the box. I think it was 36% of the time. That was the 4th highest rate amongst all running backs. Anytime you can alleviate that pressure, I know this is still a really good run blocking team, but anytime you can alleviate that pressure in terms of what he's seeing, in terms of defenders stacked in the box trying to stop the run, it will help. I'm pretty hyped for your team there, Key Johnson. We also saw a question come in from God's Butt Monkey. Okay, interesting. Good name. Traded a bunch of people for picks last season. I ended up with a 14-team PPR dynasty of, what the heck is that? Okay, we have Deshaun Watson, Bryce Young, Bijan Robinson. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Dameon Pierce, Algier, Hall, Ridley, Devonta Smith, Quentin Johnston, Jacoby Myers, Greg Dulcich, Michael Mayer, and the Eagles defense. Dude, you are for a dynasty team, you are stacked with some young players. Robinson, Gibbs, Pierce, and then Hall, and then Ridley, Devon Smith, and Quentin Johnston. And then you obviously have, Bryce Young, young quarterback, Deshaun Watson, younger quarterback, not, obviously still been in the league since 2017, but I got no complaints. I think your team will certainly have its success in the future because they're only just beginning. David Waters says, what round do you reach for DJ Moore? Fourth question mark. Fourth round DJ Moore. I think if you're looking to reach for him, yes, technically the fourth round's the reach. I wouldn't feel comfortable grabbing him in the fourth. I guess if you have, because that's the thing, right? Why are you going to reach for DJ Moore unless you want to stack him with Fields? I mean, if you think that he's just going to by himself be a great option, then fantastic, run with it. But Fields is where I would get, or typically I would get Fields in the fourth round, and then I'd grab DJ Moore in the fifth. So I do think it is a reach, David, to grab DJ Moore there. Herb141 says, what's up, Andrew? Would you trade Kyle Pitts for Christian Watson? I drafted Evan Ingram in the 14th round. This is a new keeper super flex, so I can also trade picks to even out the trade. Trade away Kyle Pitts to get Christian Watson. I think that's fair. I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, again, it's just a matter of Evan Ingram's going to be with that organization for the next couple of years, considering he signed a 3-year deal, $24 million guaranteed. I know that they drafted a tight end in the second round in Jacksonville, but Evan Ingram should be the primary guy, so I'm comfortable with that. I'm okay if you want to make that the upside play of going after Watson. All right, let's see here. Jaws in the chat just says Roschon Johnson with about 12 exclamation points to follow. That's funny. But yeah, you're not wrong. Roschon Johnson could be a guy this year. It's just a matter of whether or not Khalil Herbert loses the job, because it is Khalil Herbert's job to lose thus far. Irrelevant Me was asking a question about week 1 flex. I don't even know. It's funny. You're saying week 1 flex, Sky or Monster? Who's Monster? Is there someone that I refer to as a monster, and that's why that's what you put? Who do I refer as monster? Because there's a lot of guys. Because I refer to Derrick Henry and what's his name, DK Metcalf as Terminators. Who's monster? I think you meant Mostert, and it auto-corrected to monster. Oh man. I don't know. We'll see. Week 1 again. It's so far ahead in the future. We'll get there when we get there on September 4th, guys. September 4th is when week 1 starts in my mind. Calvin Ridley and Garrett Wilson or Bijan Robinson and Mike Williams, half PPR, 10-team league. So basically you're asking, Andrew, would I rather have a second and a third round pick or a first and a fourth? I think they're pretty balanced, ultimately. In a half PPR scoring format, I think if the upside hits, give me the Bijan side. All right, let's see here. So we had Eric send in a question. Eric says, in a full PPR, I have Mahomes, I have Waller. So you already have positional advantages that are significant. Then you have McCaffrey, Sanders, which I love, Javonte Williams, who has upside, assuming he can get that PPR work out of the backfield. Of course, he already demonstrated that in the preseason. You have Adams, Ridley, 2 top 12 guys, Amari Cooper, and then you have Christian Watson and McLaurin and Addison. Okay, this has got to be a 10-team league, right? Because you have way too much depth at wide receiver. Is that a bad thing? No. The problem is going to be, Eric, that you have so much wide receiver depth that you have to start Adams and Ridley, right? But it's going to get to a point where Amari Cooper, Watson, and McLaurin, and even perhaps even Addison are going to get good enough to the point where you're like, I don't even know who to start in the flex, because they all have the chance of popping off in a given week. But yeah, that's a pretty solid roster to say the least there, man. Your question additionally is, should I trade Amari Cooper for Breece Hall? Again, somebody asked that earlier. I don't mind it. Do you need the running back depth? I don't think you do. But you do have enough wide receiver depth to be able to survive that hit. So yeah, if you want to go for it, yeah, absolutely go for it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Parks in the chat was saying Calvin Ridley and Garrett. Okay, so we already took care of that from Parks. Mr. All Days Off says, I got Fields, Richardson, Geno, and Kenny all in my super flex. What can I do in a 12-team league? Okay, Mr. All Day. So if you're playing in a 12-team league and you have 4 starting quarterbacks on your team, that means that there are going to be a couple teams in your league that not only don't have a third quarterback, but are probably struggling with their second quarterback. Unless you can make a trade now, my overall suggestion would be to hold these quarterbacks if possible, if you have the roster capacity in order to do so, and then eventually use them as trade fodder in the future, right? Like if you're coming off of a week in which, you have Fields and Geno Smith obviously as your 1-2, and then Richardson and Kenny Pickett both pop off. Why not move one to a team that is certainly desperate for a number 2 quarterback or even a number 3, because bye weeks are, of course, to eventually come. Yeah, you should just utilize them as trade fodder. You can do it now or you can do it midseason. It's just up to you and how you want to approach it. I think midseason would probably work best because people who draft their teams now are often just kind of comfortable just sitting back and seeing what happens over the course of the first couple weeks. After a while, then they'll begin to panic after they realize, man, my team is terrible. And then at that point, if injuries occur on your team, you can use that trade fodder to improve upon that injury that may have taken place to your team. We had a couple more questions come in here. We had a question come in from Kyle. Thank you very much, Kyle. Kyle says, I have the 4th pick in a 10-team Superflex PPR format. Okay. My quarterback is Burrow and Daniel Jones. Great. Fantastic. Again, it's Superflex League. Getting 2 top 12 quarterbacks, in my mind, a great way to start. You also have Purdy, so that means you have the additional 3rd option just in case Daniel Jones begins to become any sort of inconsistent, or if any injuries are to kind of come up in any scenarios there. So at least you have the insurance policy of Purdy, which is, again, in my mind, a top 18 quarterback this year. Additionally, you have you have RBs of Madison, you have Sanders, you have Akers, you have David Montgomery, you have Jeff Wilson Jr. Again, those are discount running backs. Those are guys that are in the RB2 conversation, to say the least. Hopefully, they can just maintain consistency. And I honestly think they will. Even though there are names that a lot of people are kind of like, we're uncertain of these backs. They're all in situations where they're given a pretty good ample volume of opportunity. Madison's filling in for Dalvin Cook's role. Sanders is filling in for a role that we know is going to be a 3-down back role. Montgomery's filling in for Jamal Williams, and Akers obviously demonstrated late last season what his role is probably going to look like in some sort of capacity. So pretty strong running backs. Additionally, you have Chase, you have Lamb, you have Ridley, you have 3 top 12 wide receivers. You have Higbee, Kmet, and Chigozimo Okonkwo, so you can kind of figure it out over the course of the season as it goes. And then your wide receiver depth is Sutton and Flowers. Again, for a Superflex league, it's pretty strong. Because again, in Superflex formats especially, when you prioritize those early quarterbacks, which are certainly going to save you in the long run because you have so much depth there, you will take hits at some positions. In this case, it is running back, but if those guys can stay consistent, you'll be fine. Zachary Bolt says, 3rd overall pick in a Yahoo draft. Who should I grab? It depends. What's your scoring format, Zach? If you're playing in a half PPR, again, just meeting everyone in the middle, it's probably going like Jefferson number 1, McCaffrey number 2, Chase number 3. Like that's probably my thought process. Is Hall in the 5th round bad? No, I don't think so, Christian. I think Hall in the 5th round is okay. I mean, that's later than he typically goes, from what I've seen. We had a question come in from Pratty. Pratty says, greetings and salutations, Andrew. I'm drafting at the 11th spot in a half PPR 12-team league, and I'm thinking about drafting Mahomes in round 1 and Garrett Wilson in round 2 to target Ridley and Aaron Jones and James Cook. What do you think? I would suggest you probably don't. The only scenario in which I'm drafting a quarterback ever in the first round of a league is if you play in a league where you can start multiple quarterbacks, or if you play in a league in which it is a 6-point per passing touchdown format. So my suggestion to you would be, hey, I know you want Mahomes. If this is, if you're looking to win, strategically, it's probably it's probably not the best overall decision. You can get a later quarterback in the 3rd round if, in fact, you want to grab someone like Lamar Jackson in the 3rd, or perhaps Lamar in the 4th, along with Fields. But grabbing him in the 1st or 2nd round, Mahomes is a bit of a, to say the least, it's a risk. You want other positions to be able to carry you, especially if it's a 4-point per passing touchdown league. I think it's a little too rich for my blood. Thank you for asking, though. Hopefully that kind of helps other people who were wondering the same thing. Franco in the chat was asking Amon-Ra St. Brown or Garrett Wilson. Between the two of them, I prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown. In a standard league, I may consider Garrett Wilson the better choice because I think Garrett Wilson will probably rack up more receiving yards and probably be in the same conversation in terms of total touchdowns. But when we get into the half PPR, full PPR conversation, Amon-Ra's overall reception total is going to be so significant. That's where he gets the leaning edge. Let's see here. We had a question from Ryad says, I'm in a 12-team PPR league, 1 keeper, where Ridley, Debo, Chase, St. Brown, Cup, Olave. Wait. Okay, so all those players are being kept. Olave, Jacobs, Hurts, and Kenneth Walker are being kept. Okay, so this is your question. Keep Pollard in the 4th round or Waddle in the 6th round. And who would you look for in the 2nd and 3rd round or the 4-5 turn? Okay, listen. So who am I keeping between those two options? I mean, keep Pollard in the 4th okay, so what's your keeper rule? Can you keep Pollard in the 4th again next year, or does he go up 1 round? Because even if he goes up 1 round, I'd probably keep Pollard in this scenario. I mean, it's just hard for me to think that this backfield's going to go into any other direction but giving Pollard the ball for majority of this upcoming season and for future seasons. So that's the guy that I probably keep. As for who you're going after, you probably should stack up wide receivers immediately. Considering teams are already keeping St. Brown, Chase, Debo, Ridley, Kupp, Olave, wide receivers already depleted in your league, you'd have to immediately go after wide receivers. That's my suggestion. Thank you. Let's see here. John in the chat was saying, starting Gibbs, should I start David Montgomery or Khalil Herbert? We'll get to week 1 when we get to September 4th, but somebody asked me that question literally yesterday, and I'm probably leaning towards David Montgomery to begin with, but we'll see by the time we get to September 4th. Obviously, I got to do a little bit of digging and research until then in terms of matchups and how it's all going to pan out. Let's see here. DSauce223 says, I drafted Bijan Robinson in the 5th in a redraft. Did I go too far? No, you're good. You're fine. God's Monkey says, also picked up, what is that? For my taxi squad? Okay, just because he's from the home state, following him since high school. Who the heck is that? Am I crazy? All right, let's go look this name up. Okay, I understand. You picked up the backup quarterback for the Bears, huh? Because they cut PJ Walker. I understand what you're saying now. Thank you, Monkey. Appreciate it. Andrew O says, why does no one ever draft backup kicker or defense in 15-man rosters? What about kicker and defense on bye week? Well, it depends, right? The assumption is if you have an elite defense and you drafted it early, you drafted San Francisco, Dallas, the Buffalo Bills, Eagles. If you drafted one of those top tier defenses, the assumption would be that you're not dropping them on the bye week. You're keeping them and dropping somebody else. So I wouldn't want to waste roster spots until that bye week arises, because what I want to do is I want to roster players that are backup running backs or handcuffs, or players that it may take them a month to eventually gain footing within the league and then kind of use them as lottery tickets. So that's typically what I would want to stack my bench with. I want upside players rather than a backup defense that I don't need till week 13. Do you know what I mean? So, or a backup kicker I won't need till week 8. These are things that I don't really have to worry about, because once I get to that week, I'll drop another player on my roster. If you're playing with a 15-man roster, I'm sure there'll be someone at that point which is either injured or not consistent. You drop them and pick up a backup defense accordingly. Dominic Bueno sends in a question, says, I drafted Jonathan Taylor in a full PPR. I have Eckler, Gibbs, Zeke, Chigozimo Okonkwo, Dalton Schultz. Should I drop a tight end for a Charbonnet? Yeah, you should. I would. I'd feel comfortable doing so. Wide receivers are DK Metcalf, Higgins, DJ Moore, and Amari Cooper. We have Dotson, we have Pickens, and we have Flowers. Yeah, I'd drop one of those I'd drop one of those tight ends. As to who is up to you, I prefer Chigozimo Okonkwo this season. But if you prefer Schultz, you can go ahead. And I would pick up Charbonnet just in case for going forward. I think it's a good depth play for you. Let's see here. We had another question from, okay, we took care of Dominic. Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate it. Jesse sends in a question, says, rate my first 7 picks, high stakes, 12-team full PPR league. Christian McCaffrey, number 1. Jacobs in the 2nd round. Jalen Hurts in the 3rd. Amari Cooper in the 4th. Waller in the 3rd. Ayuk in the 5th. And Christian Kirk in the 6th. Again, you prioritize running back early with quarterback and a top-tier tight end. You took a little bit of a discount at wide receiver. But again, Brandon Ayuk last season, I mean, at all points of the year was a great wide receiver. The first, I would say 7 weeks, well, was it even 7 weeks or was it the first 12? I think the first 12 weeks prior to the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo, he was a top 15 wide receiver. And then even after Jimmy Garoppolo went down, he was a top 15 wide receiver for the remainder of the year. So he could very easily service as a wide receiver 2 within your team. So I don't mind that. Yeah, you took discounts at wide receiver, but I feel like over the course of the season, you'll find far more potential wide receiver grabs off of the waiver wire in comparison to running back or quarterback or any of that nature. There's higher likelihoods of you finding wide receivers on the waivers. So I don't mind it. It's a pretty good squad. Matthew Barry 2.0 sends in a question. Says, I'm in a 14-man full PPR league. I have Justin Fields, Pierce, Akers, Diggs, St. Brown, Christian Kirk, Jahan Dotson, Samaje Perine, Jalen Warren. Do I trade for a better running back or am I good? Pierce, Akers as your 1-2. I mean, if you're going to trade someone, the issue is because you have Fields, Diggs, and St. Brown, you're not moving either of those options. Moving Christian Kirk or Jahan Dotson right now are not going to get you enough running back depth in return. So unless you're going to pair up like Pierce and Jahan Dotson and move him for a running back, I wouldn't make any moves. At this point, you have to kind of wait and just see how it plays out because otherwise you're going to make your team far too thin by making trades. And you don't want that because you need the depth in case of injuries and or bye weeks that are to come. If you don't have the depth available on roster and you're just going to have kind of just nobody's on your bench, it really could hurt the long run of that overall team. Okay, somebody in the chat, I think it was Retro, was saying, when are we drafting? We'll do that right now. I'm going to go ahead. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, you can go ahead and do so today. There's a link down in the description. I will be posting a link in the chat right now in regards to in regards to a live draft that we are going to conduct. I'm going to need 11 of you. This is a $3 buy-in, so if you're interested, be sure to go ahead, click on the link, join, sign up today using code Andrew. Greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and let's do that. The link is in the chat and we're ready to go. As I'm waiting for people to join that, I will additionally continue to try to answer as many questions as I can while also trying to stay somewhat focused on my team. I typically can't do both at the same time. I don't have the brain capacity for that because I hard focus and hard tunnel on answering questions, but I'll try my best. The Pound says, okay, thank you very much, Pound. I appreciate it. Evan Goldman in the chat was saying, should I be scared of my running backs being Najee Harris, Damian Pierce, and Javonte Williams in a full PPR? Should you be afraid? I mean, ultimately, no. Look, here's the reality of that entire team. Damian Pierce is going to have Devin Singletary in his back pocket. Najee Harris is going to have Jalen Warren in his back pocket. Yet they're both going to be the goal line backs and the primary running backs and still are going to get sprinkles in the receiving game. So I'm not worried about the scenarios. Javonte Williams, the only reason he scares me is because he's coming off of a catastrophic knee injury where he didn't just tear his ACL. He tore his LCL and also had other structural damage. And usually when you have that kind of a severe knee, similar to the way that J.K. Dobbins has it, you know, you're going to get to a point where you're uncomfortable. You might need to go back in and get a knee scope, clean up some of that, you know, mess of what that knee surgery kind of provided. So that's just the concern that I have in that regard. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swap screens real quick. We're going to go ahead and have us right next to, let me go ahead and let's do it this way. I need to turn off this. Okay, there we go. Zoom in a little bit more and I think we'll be good. We're looking for a couple more squads to hop in here. We need 4 more teams. Again, link is in the description for those of you interested. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. I think we took care of Matthew Berry 2.0. Thank you very much. Again, your wide receiver depth, it isn't to an extent to where you can flaunt it and trade it and an upgrade running back. Having 2 RB2s isn't a problem because, again, it is a 14-team league and you're going to be thinner naturally. So, ultimately, I don't mind it. It's just a matter of your current format being as such. Kyle Strobel says Ash or Misfortune. It depends what your comp is. I don't play ADC, so don't even, you know, I haven't played League in a very long time, but miss me with ADC. That's a miserable role. You just get one tapped after a while. It's just not even fun. Nicholas Nolan says, hey man, I have a question. JT is out. I was offered Aaron Jones and Waddle for Tyreek Hill. Wait, you were offered Aaron Jones and Waddle for Tyreek Hill. Do I do this with JT being out? Thanks so much. So basically, Aaron Jones, who in my opinion probably comes off the board typically. I have the 5th overall pick. Nice. Typically comes off the board in what, the 4th round? I mean, we'll see it in this league here. Where is Aaron Jones ADP on Underdog? Aaron Jones ADP 48. Yeah, so basically the end of the 4th round. So someone's going to give you a 4th round pick. And then additionally, they're going to give you Waddle, which is a 2nd round pick for a 1st. I don't mind it, especially with your need at running back. I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. All right, let's see here. Mark sends in a question. Mark, thank you very much. Mark Maloney says, Bijan Robinson and A.J. Brown or Cooper Kupp and Josh Jacobs? Ooh, wow. I would probably say Cooper Kupp and Josh Jacobs in a half PPR. I'll take those 2. Thank you. Let's see here. Kyle sends in another question. Says that I'm in a 10-team my almost on the clock. I just want to make sure my pick doesn't get auto drafted again like yesterday. I wasn't paying attention. 10-team pick 3 in a super flex. My quarter. Okay, nice. So you took Jalen Hurts in the first round, and you ended up getting Fields. That's really good, Kyle. Holy moly. That's a really good start, to say the very least. I'm gonna take a wide receiver here, whether it is Tyreek or Cooper Kupp in this draft. So you have, I'll just star them just in case it auto drafts for me. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson as your 1, 2, 3. So you obviously went with the heavy rushing quarterback kind of trio, which is nice. And then additionally, you have Sam Howell. So you have a fourth quarterback. Obviously, in a 10-team league, you don't need that fourth quarterback because everyone's going to have the access to a third. So you don't need it. But if you need Howell, so be it. You have Jacobs. You have White. You have James Cook. You have Dalvin Cook. I mean, in terms of the running back depth, you got Jacobs early. You waited until a little bit later. Obviously, you found guys that have receiving upside with White and James Cook, and even Dalvin Cook, to be totally honest, because the Jets will be throwing the ball to their running backs at a pretty good rate this year. Sorry, let me go ahead and put up this, guys, and then I'll scoot over to the side just so you guys can check out the draft board as it kind of moves along. You know what I'll probably do? I'll probably just do this to where I'm like, whoop, and I'll just kind of hang out down here for the first couple rounds, and then we'll just kind of rescale me later. In terms of your wide receivers, you have Higgins, you have Evans, you have Kirk, you have Cooks, and then you also have Michael Thomas. Andrews is your tight end with Dalton Kincaid. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest. I don't love your wide receivers. I think Higgins could certainly be wide receiver 1 potential, and Evans could be wide receiver 2. But you definitely took a massive discount at wide receiver and running back going early on quarterback. I mean, Fields and Hurts can do enough to carry your team. So I'm not afraid at this point. And Mark Andrews, obviously being a top tier player within his position, you have significant positional advantages there. You just got to hope that the running backs and the wide receivers you selected do not whiff, because if they do, you're going to be in trouble because those guys will only carry you as far as, I mean, you're only going to go as far as your quarterback and tight ends go. And you need the support of these other players hitting consistently to get you to that next level, Kyle. I mean, I like the double quarterback, but typically if I'm playing in a super flex league, especially if it's a 4-point per passing touchdown format, I want to just go with like a hero approach where I grab one quarterback early and then I just wait for that second one far later down the line. Because again, you were able to grab 4 of them anyway. You grabbed, Anthony Richardson. I mean, you don't even need Richardson, to be honest, at that point. Could have probably spent it on another player. Let's see here. Lank Dog says, hello, Andrew. I'm in a 10-team league. 6 points per passing touchdown. Who's my keeper? Picking from the 8th spot. I have Kelsey in the 1st, Hurts in the 8th, or Devonta Smith in the 8th. I'd keep Jalen Hurts in the 8th. That's what you should do. Yeah. Considering it's a 6-point per passing touchdown format, you're kind of forced to try to keep one of the top 3 quarterbacks. So that's what I would suggest. Thank you, Lank Dog. Jeff Gam 97 says, I'm in a Dynasty Superflex 12-team league, full PPR. Trade away Quentin Johnston / Zach Evans and a 2024 first round for Najee Harris, Jonathan Mingo, and a 2025 second round. Looking to contend. If you're looking to contend, I'm going to be totally honest, Jeff. I don't really consider myself the Dynasty trade connoisseur. I would probably point you in the direction of looking for a trade calculator of some sort or someone who's far more equipped than I. I'm typically the redraft guy. So if you're going to look in my direction and say, hey, Andrew, I want to contend, and you show me those pieces, I think, okay, what's a 2024 first? If you're the last place team, I know what a 2024 first looks like. It's a monster of a player. But if you're going to try to win it all and you're bringing in Najee Harris to help you do that, let's do it. I'm fine with that. But again, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. I don't know what the rest of your league looks like. It's kind of hard to say at this moment. Did they leave Derrick Henry for me? Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, guys. You guys are so generous. That is absolutely so generous of you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. We move on to Pratty. Pratty had a question. Says, after hearing what you said, I think I'll go for A.J. Brown, Nick Chubb, and Garrett Wilson now. A.J. Brown / Nick Chubb and Garrett Wilson now, and still target Ridley stack. Him with Lawrence instead of go back-to-back rounds. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, again, going Mahomes early is risky, man. It really is. Chris Daniel says, Wubba Lubba Dub Dub. Atta baby. Rob Castle says, "What's up, brother? Hope you're doing well, Rob. Nice to see you, man." Kyle says, "Hey, Andrew, I'm looking forward to another season. Can you rate my 10-team half PPR league? Hurts, Cup, Higgins, Bijan, Connor, Hawkinson, Rashad White, Montgomery, Hollywood Brown, Brandon Cooks, Quentin Johnston." Okay, so I'm going to be totally honest. Mooney could get off the roster. It wouldn't bother me. So could Boyd. Marquise Hollywood Brown is a little bit of a struggling piece there. But outside of that, the rest of your team is solid. I mean, you have Jalen Hurts, you have Cup, you have Higgins. You have two guys that, I mean, if Higgins honestly can stay healthy, he's a top 12 wide receiver. You have Bijan, which is great. You have Rashad White, and you have Connor, who are both running backs that not only are their full 3-down back of their team, but they also have receiving upside for the format, which is great. And then you have Hawkinson. So your pillars are strong, especially now that you also have Montgomery coming off the bench, which at that point, honestly, he should be your flex. I'm not afraid of it. I think you got a pretty solid roster. I just don't really care for, the Boyd Mooney pickups later. I'd rather have gone for like crazy running back upside players instead. What is the RB equivalent of Ayuk in a full PPR league? Looking for to make a trade. The RB equivalent of Ayuk. I mean, who comes off the board? At a similar range of Ayuk. That's the question. Is Lamar up on the board? Okay, don't really want that. Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre, Etienne Mixon, DK Metcalf, Mark Andrews. At this point, typically what I would do is I'd take Mixon because I don't think anybody's outscoring him at this range. So I'll just run it. That's fine. So yeah, I mean, who's coming off the board when Ayuk does? Where's Ayuk's ADP at? I mean, again, it depends on different formats. But if Ayuk is coming off the board at the 5th round, who's a running back coming off the board in the 5th round? Kenneth Walker. I mean, Alexander Madison, Pierce. Those are the kind of equivalents, right? Technically. Let's see here. JZ Khan says 5th pick in a 12-man full PPR league. Should I trade out this pick? If not, what's the ideal draft after Cup? 3rd round early, quarterback worth, question mark? Okay, so in terms of this question, 12-team full PPR, should you trade out of this pick at the 5th pick overall? I mean, what are you going to trade out to? 3rd round early QB worth it? 3rd round early QB in my mind is worth it. 0 RB advisable. Yeah, it is. At the 5th pick, you could very easily get away with it. But, I mean, what am I at? I'm at the 5th pick in this draft, right? And I just tunneled hard at running back because people just leave these stud running backs available. So I don't think you have to take, early quarterback. I don't think you have to go 0 RB. I think you just take the best available as it comes to you. JZ Khan. Jabo sent in a question. Jabo, what's up? Let me see. I'm using the search function on the wrong monitor. F3, where's Jabo at? Jabo says, I have Waller and Akers. Sorry, excuse me. Redact all that. I got Waller and Akers for Madison and Ingram. Is that a dub? Yeah, I think so. I think Waller's significantly better than Ingram to the extent to where the difference between Madison and Akers is not enough to compensate for. So yeah, I think overall in terms of fantasy points contributing to your team, my projections would say yes, it is a dub. Purple Hippo 83 says, where would you take Taylor? I take Taylor as like a back end RB2, somewhere around where Akers would go, kind of, sort of. Dobbins would go. That's kind of where I'm thinking at this point. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Kyle Strobel. Kyle said, in a 10-team full PPR league. Sorry, guys. Let me put this chat back up. 10-team full PPR league. JJ Pollard, Olave, DK, Justin Herbert, Godwin, Connor, Javonte, Deontay, Quentin Johnston, Eagles defense. We have Zink, Kincaid. Okay, so that's okay. I mean, look, overall, JJ Pollard is an incredible start. On top of Olave, on top of DK, Justin Herbert, you have a top-tier quarterback. You have Godwin. I don't really have any complaints with this team. And you have Deontay Johnson as like your 4th best wide receiver. Like, that in itself is ridiculous. You have literally Justin Jefferson, Olave, Godwin, DK ahead of Deontay Johnson. Like, you're pretty much set. I would say if you're looking to upgrade somewhere, it is at running back. It is either Javonte Williams or James Conner who needs to be improved upon to be that RB2 after Pollard. So that would be the number one thing. You'd probably want to move a wide receiver and a running back and try to make an upgrade at that running back position. Yeah, Yeah, so that's the thought process at the moment. Okay, Brian Roman says, stuck between Chase and Christian McCaffrey at number 2 in a full PPR scoring format. Yeah, I don't blame you for being stuck there. I think there are arguments for both of them being the pick and both of them not being the pick. It's just a matter of how you kind of want to construct your roster. I think that's kind of where it's at. Braden in the chat, Braden Ross says, is Evan Hull a decent RB2 being the backup of JT? Or should I attempt trading JT for another decent RB2? I think Deion Jackson is actually going to probably be in a rotation with Evan Hull. But Deion Jackson probably plays all 3 downs in comparison. So therein lies his value. Waller's available. Joe Burrow's available. You guys took 1-2 quarterbacks. Can I risk waiting for one? I can. So I'll take Mike Williams and let it roll. So yeah, at this point, yeah, I don't mind either of those 2 picks. In a full PPR, typically you want to sit with that wide receiver and let it roll, but McCaffrey has so much receiving upside, and I'm sure you know that. That's why it's such a difficult decision. In a full PPR, I'd probably just go McCaffrey. TMP Dynamite says, I got Jonathan Taylor. Do you think he'll play this year? I mean, I would hope he plays this year. If he doesn't play this year, here comes Le'Veon Bell 2.0, but I think he'll play eventually. Whether it's for the Colts or not, that I'm not 100% certain of. I have Bijan, I have Dobbins, I have Pacheco, I have Charbonnet. Do you think I should trade for another running back? You could trade for another running back. I don't think you need to. I think Dobbins and Pacheco can very easily service as your RB2 going forward, and potentially even your flex if necessary. Pyro Hype 323 says, in a 12-man league, I have Burrow, Diggs, Lamb, Najee, White, Pitts, and Ridley. Thoughts? I mean, again, top 5 quarterback. That in itself is great. You have Lamb and Diggs, which are both the number 5 and number 6 overall wide receivers on my list. You have Najee, who's a top 12. You have Rashad White, who should be top 24 in a full PPR format. You have Pitts, who I don't love, but I can get on board with. And then you also have Ridley, who's another top 12 wide receiver. Again, you've prioritized the depth at wide receiver early enough, along with quarterback, to where, yes, you may have taken a little bit of discount at that RB2 position, but the other pieces of your offense, tight end, quarterback, who you'll never have to replace outside of that 1 week, who will probably not have to deal with as many injuries. Am I on the clock? Or did I just pick? No, I'm not on the clock yet. I think those are probably going to go the extra mile for you, and I don't think you're going to really have to worry about that RB2 kind of playing a huge role in this entire scheme. Okay, Carlos Sanchez says, rate my team. Andrew, I have, okay, hold up really quickly. Let me see what's going on here. Deontay Johnson. I love Deontay Johnson. You guys know that. Dameon Pierce is available. I don't need another running back for a while. I have Waller available, but I think it's too early for him at this point. So I'll probably take Deontay, or I'll take a better quarterback. Let's just take the quarterback. Let's just stack up Mike Williams with Justin Herbert and let it roll. We'll see what happens. Where are we at here? Okay, so we took care of that. Okay, Carlos Sanchez says, rate my team, Andrew. I have Dak, I have Ridley, I have Garrett Wilson, I have Bijan, I have Gibbs, I have Javonte, I have Waller, I have McLaurin. This is in how many teams, man? How many teams league is this? 12-team, half PPR. Wow, Carlos. The fact that you're able to somehow get Bijan Robinson and Gibbs and Ridley, so that's your 1, 2, 3, and Garrett Wilson, I don't understand. I'm going to assume that the format you play on is probably like ESPN or Yahoo, and one of those 2 formats really ranks either Gibbs or Ridley way lower than they should be going off the board. And the fact that you're still able to get Waller, I mean, I don't know how you did it, but congrats. I mean, that's a pretty good, strong base of a team, to say the least. Matthew Palmer says, do I trade DeAndre Hopkins for Tony Pollard? Yes. What? My running backs are Gibbs and Stevenson and Miles Sanders, along with Montgomery. My wide receivers are JJ Waddle, Evans. Yes, right now, do it. Matthew, please get it done. Get the trade done. Fire it on all cylinders. Send it. Yes, send it. Are you worried about Kupp at all? The Rams are going to tank and could shut him down. Gucci, I wasn't aware that you ran the front office there and you knew that they were going to tank. Thank you for letting me know. Now I'm concerned. Thank you. I mean, no, I'm not concerned, man. As you can tell from my rankings, how I've kind of approached, I don't really approach players with fear unless I have something to really be afraid about. I don't see the Rams, quote unquote, tanking. You know who's tanking? The Cardinals are tanking. It's not really the Rams that are going to be in that position, unfortunately. I would love the Rams to tank. I'd love to get the USC quarterback as the first overall pick. I'd love it. That'd be fantastic, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. Let's see here. We had a question came in from Bale Kim. Bale, what's up, man? How's it going? Love the streams. Najee Harris or Dobbins for week 1? I have no clue. I couldn't even answer that question for you, but I would say start your studs. So at this point, you just probably play Najee. But again, I don't even know who the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing in week 1. I'll be totally honest. Again, week 1 for me starts on September 4th, guys. That's when it starts. That's when I'll kind of get back into the week 1 rhythm. For now, we're in the pre-draft kind of process approach. That's where we're at the moment. That's where we're at. Okay, so let's see here. No Ridley, Debo, St. Brown, Cup, Olave, Jacobs, or Hurts. What is that? No, I'm aware, Ryad. That was the whole point that you asked, right? Because everyone's being kept. So because all those players are being kept in your league, the assumption would be you'd have to prioritize wide receiver after. Charlene made a great point. She said, there are literally 355 people watching and we only have 87 likes or 86 likes. If we could do me a favor, guys, we greatly appreciate it. Click the like button down below. Continue to support the channel in that regard. Thank you. Appreciate it. Where are we at here? Smitty McDaniel says, damn, I love to see the number 1 pick take teams RBs. What does that mean? Oh, yeah. The number 1 pick does not have any RBs. Yeah, that's the best ball method, man. That's the best ball method. That's just kind of the approach. I understand it, though. I understand it. Am I on the clock? Oh, beautiful. What do we have available here? He just took Tyler Lockett right in front of me. Man, I was hoping I could get it. I know J.K. Dobbins would stay. Kyle Pitts is the best available tight end. I don't love that at all. My clock is running out very quickly. So I don't really love this. I'm just going to let it auto pick for me. And I took Jerry Jeudy, whatever. I mean, at this point, I'm in shambles. He took no. At this point, honestly, I probably just take Mike Evans there. But, it is what it is. It happens. We had a question that came in from LOL. Wait, actually, Pyro Hype says, lost service. Can you answer my previous question? Hopefully you heard it, but if you didn't, let's go back up to it. Yeah, the entire point that I was making, Pyro, was that you prioritize quarterback, tight end, and wide receivers enough to where they will compensate or overcompensate for the lack of RB2 depth, and I'm okay with that, and it's perfectly fine. That's kind of the gist that I gave. Okay, let's see. Let me scroll to the very bottom. Goodness gracious, I'm drowning in questions here. Smitty McDaniels, we took care. I have Hopkins. Gonna offer him for Pollard right now. Yes, I mean if you could do that, by all means. I don't know how you would be able to accomplish that, but that'd be great. SG King says Rams lost 7 or 8 games by less than 7 points last year. I mean, did they? I don't know. I'm not counting. Honestly, I just I'm a Rams fan, but I know the reality of the team. We're going to lose a lot of games this year, but I don't really care because that just means more negative game scripts. That means more throwing the ball, and that means more fantasy points for Cooper Kupp. That's all I know. Where are we at? Alice here. Abanto says, Andrew, can I get any feedback on this team? I'm in a 12-team league, 3 wide receivers minimum, 1 flex, half PPR scoring format. Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Kamara, Deuce Vaughn, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Debo Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Tony, Tank Dell, Komet Kincaid. Thanks, love the content / merch. Thank you, appreciate it. So overall, Komet and Kincaid is sketchy. I'll let that be known immediately. All right, I'm going running back here. So Komet and Kincaid is sketchy, and that in itself is already something that I'm worrying about, but hopefully it'll kind of like fix itself to an extent for you. Who do we have available? James Cook, Rashad White, DeAndre Swift. I kind of want to make a risky play, but let's just do this for now. So at this point, I'm thinking your tight end position, hopefully it can stay consistent enough early on to where you're not fumbling and starting the wrong guy, but we're going to have to wait and see how that kind of pans out. So that's sketchy. Your wide receivers are perfectly fine. You won't really have to look at them all season long. Your main 3 running backs are scary. Kenneth Walker obviously has Charbonnet behind him. Javonte Williams coming off the ACL. Kamara coming off the suspension. Running back scares me. Tight end scares me. The rest of your team's perfectly fine there. Alice here. LOLG says, hey, Andrew, I took DK over T. Higgins. and Brees Hall over Mixon. I just felt that they were more exciting and have higher ceiling. Brees Hall has more ceiling than Mixon. Oh man, I listen. Hey, if you're excited about it, I'm glad for you. I mean, like I couldn't. There's no way I could find myself a reality in my mind to where that is. I mean, I can understand DK over T Higgins, that for sure, but no way am I playing. Dude, Dalvin Cook exists still, right? Like I'm not. Am I crazy? I don't know. Yeah, but hey, listen. Hopefully it pans out. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully it pans out. Let's see here. Nick Pitara says 12-man half PPR, 3 wide receivers in a flex auction draft. I have Allen, I have Hale, Ridley, DJ Moore, Montgomery White. Herbert is my flex. Hawkinson's my tight end. I have 2 on my bench. Should I move Allen and a running back for a running back upgrade? If you're going to move Allen and a running back for an upgrade, you better be getting you better be getting Josh Jacobs back. You better be getting, Saquon Barkley back. Like that's the only thing that I could think of. Because there's no way I'm moving a quarterback of that caliber and getting back Najee Harris. There's no way. There's no way. I wouldn't draft Najee Harris ahead of Josh Allen, much less make a trade to where I'm making that swap. So if you're going to make a move, Nick, you're going to go after a top 8 running back. Hopefully. And I don't mind the move if that's what you want to do to get more depth in that regard. I don't mind it. Okay, let's see here. B Silva 0887 says rate my team in a 10 full PPR. 10 team full PPR. Kelsey, Henry, Mixon. I mean, hey, listen, you see the Henry Mixon combo. I don't mind it. Lawrence, Miles Sanders, Lockett, Deontay Johnson. I love that. Benches Rashad White, Juju Smith. We have Jonathan Mingo, Charbonnet, Flowers, and Daniel Jones. Patriots as my defense, and Jason Myers as my kicker. I mean, overall, the wide receiver depth is pretty thin. I'm sure you are already aware of that, considering you went after Kelsey, Mixon, Henry, and Lawrence. So it certainly did thin out your receiving core, but at least they're wide receiver 2s that have shown consistency of targets over the last couple of years. In a full PPR, I would have loved a little bit more wide receiver help, but ultimately, I think the rest of your team is. I mean, it makes sense how you built your team as to why it is the way it is. You took positional advantages elsewhere, and I'm fine with that. It works in my mind. Are these first quarterbacks coming off the board for Watson and Tua? Yeah, that makes sense. This is at the 7th, 8th round. Not bad. Jake Thompson says in a 14-team league, I have Josh Allen. Okay, am I on the clock? Thank you very much. Let's figure this out. Elijah Moore, Pat Freiermuth. I don't have a tight end yet, but I'm kind of just punting the position at this point now. Let's see here. 14-team, Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook, Khalil Herbert, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper. Let's do this real quick. 1 second, guys. Let's swap this up here. Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook, Khalil Herbert, Tyreek. Wow, okay. So your running backs are thin. You have Dalvin Cook as a starter to begin the season. Who's your backup running backs? So you're already asking what running back should you target. So with Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Drake London, Mark Andrews, it's going to be tough, man. I think you would have to move one of those 2 running backs, Khalil Herbert and Dalvin Cook, along with one of these wide receivers and try to go get an upgrade. Like maybe you move, man, it's going to be tough. Like I don't know how your league's going to work. Considering it's a 14-team league and everyone's thin, like if you're going to move a running back and a wide receiver, you're already going to take a huge kind of discount at what your overall roster will look like going forward. And there's already less depth because of the 14-team nature of this league. So you could go ahead and move Drake London with Khalil Herbert and try to upgrade at running back and go get someone that is in that RB2 range like a J.K. Dobbins. But do I love it? No, I don't love that. Like I'd love to get somebody better like a Kenneth Walker, but I don't think you could try it. I don't know if someone will give you that though. That'll be tough, especially in a 14-team league. Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the questions. Do you believe DeAndre Swift has top 12 upside? Yes, he has top 12 upside. Is it likely? No, because the guy has literally not played more than 14 games in any season of his career. So, obviously, health issues. Additionally, he's in a backfield that they could end up just spreading the love and being just as successful as they were last year. So I don't think that they're contingent on having to play within the bounds of just starting one singular running back. I think they can utilize multiple running backs and be perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and start another draft because, again, today's stream is going to be a little bit shorter because I started a little bit later. So I put the link in the chat for those of you who are interested. I wanted to just go ahead and reset on that. Am I out of focus again? Goodness gracious. Come on. Hello? I got to move this sucker out of the way. Come here. Grab the attention. There we go. Goodness, man, this microphone really wants to does not want to. It wants to be the center of attention for some reason. We'll go ahead and swap the screens really quickly. We'll go back to that. If you guys want to join, I just pasted it in the chat. If you're interested, hop on into this overall draft here. We'll start another one just to kind of get one more under the kind of overall umbrella, and then we'll continue to answer questions. And then I'll be heading out probably around, I want to say 8:15, so we probably got another 30 minutes here. Appreciate you guys coming by, of course, supporting the channel in this regard. We want to catch up on some of these questions, of course. Jake Thompson. So in terms of your overall team, again, I don't love your running backs. I don't love them at all. Should you upgrade them? I mean, if you can make a massive upgrade, sure, but yeah, it's your running backs are going to, if you don't upgrade them, they might kill you this year. They could be incredible. You don't know. I mean, really, we're all sitting here speculating. Dalvin Cook could be a top 12 guy, and we don't even see it coming, right? But the likelihood is he's not. So it is unfortunate. Corey Olson says, please explain the Judy pick. I auto-drafted. that's the explanation. I don't pick Judy there. Judy's not in my rankings that high. Judy's outside of my top 36 wide receivers actually right now. So that was an auto pick. Sorry, bud. Sorry for the confusion. Let's see here. Then we had a question from Gumslover. Says, half PPR, 12 teams. We have Dak Prescott. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Miles Sanders, CeeDee Lamb, Ridley, and Travis Kelce. Holy moly. Okay. That is I mean, how? How did you end up with Kelce and CeeDee Lamb? I guess if you grabbed, wow, that's crazy. Okay. Pretty solid team, especially considering you also have Mike Williams, Montgomery, and Antonio Gibson. And yes, you took a discount at quarterback, but Dak is still going to be in that like 290 to 300 point range in a 4-point per passing touchdown format to the extent to where it's not going to hurt you. I think this is a really solid team. I think the teams in your league were quite generous, allowing you to get Kelce and CeeDee Lamb. I don't know how the heck they allowed you to get away with that, man. Wow, that's interesting. Tom says, I love you. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Braden Ross says, start Lockett if it is at your flex spot. I mean, yeah, why not? Let's take Lockett wherever we can, right? That's the whole point. Lockett at the discount that he's at is incredible. I'm drafting from 11. The draft, how's my team so far? Are we talking about the draft prior? Team 11, Saquon, Garrett Wilson, Ramondre, Lamar, Darren Waller, Jahan. I think that's a pretty solid start. Taking early tight end, early quarterback, and then henceforth after trying to lock in wide receivers. I like that. Okay, let's see here. Cheddarhead says, I drafted Chase, Waddle, Jacobs. I mean, do I need to even continue? That's a monster squad, man. Then you have Dameon Pierce, you have Justin Herbert, you have Breece Hall. Okay, man. You got a pretty strong team. You got a strong team. When your starting receivers are Chase, Waddle, and then your starting running backs are Jacobs, Pearson, and you have the potential of Hall in your flex, like, brother, you're good to go there, Cheddarhead. Yeah, you're good to go. Eli says, can you rate my full PPR 12-team league? Justin Herbert, Jacobs, James Cook, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, Travis Kelce. Okay, and then we have Jordan Addison in the flex. Jordan Addison in the flex may take a couple weeks to kind of find his bearings. Hopefully he won't. But considering you have a top 12 running back, you took a little bit of a discount. Why did you take so much of a discount at wide receiver? 12-team league. You take Kelce in the first, Jacobs in the second. Who's your third-round pick? It's not Christian. Is it Christian Watson? Ooh, that might be a little too early for my... that's probably what it is. You take Watson, then you take Herbert, then you take Deontay, then you take James Cook. Yeah, if that's the order in which you went it about, I don't love Watson in the third. I'll tell you that much. Otherwise, I think the rest of your draft's great. That's the only thing. Wait, what's going on here? Let's go ahead and swap back. How many more teams do we need? We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 more teams. If you guys are interested, link is in the chat. I'll go ahead and drop it in there again, just in case. Again, we're playing via Underdog Fantasy. It is a $3 buy-in, so if you're interested, go ahead and draft alongside me. Victor says, salutations. Please rate my team. This is flex team, super flex team. Okay, I understand. Daniel Jones. We have that's not Taysom Hill. That's Tyreek Hill. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Chigozimo Okonkwo, Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson. My bench consists of Deontay Johnson, A.J. Dillon. I mean, overall, it's a 2 flex team. It's not a super flex team. Got it. So if you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback, but your receivers are Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm happy with it. You also have Ridley, so you have the fact that Ridley goes as late as he does, guys, and the fact you also got Christian Watson, I don't know if you needed. Oh yeah, you have double flex. Yeah, this is fine. I don't mind the punt at running back, and I mean, it's not really a punt at running back, to be honest. It's more of a punt at quarterback and tight end. But you prioritize 4 wide receivers back to back to back, and then you went for the Hall Montgomery. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. That honestly, that works. All right, where are we at? Whose question did I not answer so far? I know Jabo sent in something else. Let me see if Jabo's most recent question looks like. Okay, so we took care of that. Jabo says, Ridley or Olave in a 10-team PPR. My lineup is T-Law, Mondre, Gibbs, Kupp, Lamb, Waller, Olave. Do I prefer Ridley? Is that what you're asking? Yes, I prefer Ridley. That doesn't mean that's going to be objectively the correct answer this season, but that's who I prefer. I prefer the offense he's associated with. I prefer the quarterback play. And I prefer the fact that he's just a better wide receiver in my mind. And obviously, I think he's proven that. Now, yes, did he take not only 2021 off, but he also took 2022 off because of the suspension that could end up, imposing some potential, I guess, it's not rust. It's more like dust that he may need to get off in terms of playing wide receiver. But do wide receivers lose it? Like, I could understand, Watson doesn't play for 2 years, and at the quarterback position, you're a little bit rusty. But at wide receiver, it's so different. It's such a different game. So I don't think it's a problem. I don't mind making that swap, basically. Marcel Weeks says, in a 12-team full PPR league, I have, pick 2. Pick 2 overall. We have Justin Herbert. We have Gibbs. We have Herbert, as in the running back from Chicago. We have Justin Jefferson. Wow, you had pick 2 and you got Justin Jefferson. Wow. Okay, and then you have DJ Moore, Mark Andrews, Drake London. Okay, so you went with Justin Jefferson in the first, and then you took what? Gibbs in the second, Mark Andrews in the third, DJ Moore in the fourth, Justin Herbert in the fifth, and then you got Khalil Herbert eventually after with Dotson, Addison, McKinnon, Charbonnet. From the second overall pick, I mean, I'm okay with this team. Herbert being your second running back with the way that this roster is constructed scares me, because then after Herbert, your next running back is quite literally Charbonnet. That's what scares me. The running back depth is so minimal on this team. I understand it's a PPR, so you have McKinnon. You're hoping that he could fill in and be a really good, kind of complimentary PPR back, but that's sketchy in my mind. Charlene says, hey, Angie, do you like Jefferson/Addison combo? Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, again, like, we're not expecting a whole lot of potential upside from Addison. He is a rookie wide receiver, so he is capped at some capacities, especially considering Jefferson and Hawkinson are going to be the number 1 and 2 receiving options within that offense. But do I mind having the combo? No. As long as, if you're going to have multiple Vikings on the team, having Justin Jefferson as one of those Vikings, always it will help because he's going to get majority of the work. Addison as a complementary player alongside of him, again, it's like having Adam Thielen with Jefferson. I'm fine with it from seasons past. WRM says, in a 10-team, 2 QB league, 2 flex, Lamar and Kirk Cousins are my quarterbacks. We have Diggs, Garrett Wilson, Ridley, Cooper, Hall, Herbert, Waller, Godwin, Dillon. Okay, so just like this last team that we looked at, everyone's stacking up on wide receivers. I could understand why, because you're able to get such great value with, you get Diggs, Garrett Wilson, and Ridley, and Cooper, and Godwin. You're stacked. But running back, again, Khalil Herbert as your number 2, we're all hoping that Khalil Herbert plays well. I'm hoping he plays well. And he's able to not only just be able to fend off Roschon Johnson, but that at least he can be a top 24 player. If he's capable of doing it, your draft is great. Outside of that, again, similar to this last draft from Marcel, after Herbert, your next best running back is Charbonnet, and that's sketchy. That's interesting how you both had the kind of same combination there. Let's see here. Jeff in the chat was saying, would you start Madison, Lockett? Okay, yeah, we'll get to week 1 on September 4th. We'll get to week 1 on September 4th. Corey Olson says, whose season is better, St. Brown or Garrett Wilson? I expect St. Brown to have a better season. That's my expectation, at least of the current situations that they're within. Gated sends in a question, says, I have Tua, Tyreek, Brian Robinson Jr. as my running back. Oh, sorry, this is a trade question. Tua, Tyreek, and Brian Robinson Jr. from the Washington Commanders for Mahomes, Tony Pollard. Who wins the trade? Mahomes and Tony Pollard wins the trade. Mahomes and Tony Pollard. Thank you. Moving on. What's your draft strategy when it comes to a 10-team full PPR league? Draft the best overall player. Whether that is starting with 3 wide receivers, that's fine in my mind. But as long as you're drafting the best overall available player, that's typically the kind of approach that I want. Again, like as you guys can tell from the last draft that we just did, I am not afraid of running back, right? So like even if you want to prioritize wide receiver because you're afraid of the running back like kind of pitfall of injuries or all that kind of extent, I understand that exists. But in the same capacity, I'm not afraid of the idea of, drafting Mixon and Henry on the same team. I understand that there's an implied risk because of their age, because of the volume of touches they've had over their career. But no one can tell me that the available wide receivers that are sitting there alongside Mixon and Henry are going to outscore them this year. If they are, it's because Mixon and Henry are going to miss time due to injury. And of course, that's the nature of the beast of fantasy football. But I'm not going to be afraid of that potential. We're looking for 2 more people to fill into this draft. If you guys are interested, I'll go ahead, I'll copy the link, I'll drop it into the chat. If you guys want to play with us via Underdog Fantasy, again, at this current moment in time, if you sign up using code Andrew, make a first-time deposit minimum of $10, not only will you get the first-time deposit match, you'll also get my 2023 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, the rankings that are along with that. They will be updated one more time on Saturday morning around 5 a.m. I'll send those out. So if you've signed up via Underdog, you'll get an email from me on Saturday morning, which will include updated rankings across the board so you're ready for this upcoming weekend's drafts. Additionally, if you're on Patreon, you'll get the update, of course, same time on Saturday morning. So besides that, additionally, via Underdog, you'll get rankings every single weeks 1 through 18. Again, basically anything that you would get from that Patreon overall subscription membership, you're getting as long as you sign up and make that first-time deposit using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy. So take advantage of the opportunity because there's a lot of content to pretty much gain from it. Thank you very much for supporting the channel in that regard, guys. While we're also waiting for an additional 2 people, let's not pop up Google just yet. What I want to do, let's not do that. Let's swap the screen real quick so I can change some things up here, and then let's see here. Where art thou? Here we are. Beautiful. Just wanted to go ahead and once again let y'all know at this current moment in time, you can head on over to AndrewKiorkofShop.com if you guys are trying to cop the 1.01 brand merch. Again, this is something that was released on August 24th, just 5 days ago. It's been less than a week since the official merchandise brand line of the Andrew Kiorkof YouTube channel has gone live. You can travel on over to AndrewKiorkofShop.com if this is something that interests you. Again, these tie-dye hoodies are available. Again, if this is something that interests you guys, you can check it out today. Again, this is high-quality champion merchandise, as you guys can see from where my cursor is. Comfortable, stylish. Again, greetings and salutations, fantasy football, Andrew Kiorkof. Basically just representing. If this is something that interests you guys, you can go ahead, travel to the website, cop yourself some merch, support the channel in this regard. Greatly appreciate it. Again, the 1.01 brand. Spent a lot of time and effort on this. So if you guys are interested, be sure to take advantage of the opportunity. Outside of that, I'll go ahead, I'll pop myself back on screen, and hopefully we'll be ready to draft. We need one more person, and we're good to go. One more person. Let's go ahead and turn this display off. Let's zoom back in. and get back to answering some questions here. Where are we at? So we had a question from Gated. We took care of that. After Gated's first question, he had an additional question, and he said, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, Brian Robinson for Mahomes, and Tony Pollard, who wins? Mahomes and Tony Pollard wins again. Yeah, Mahomes and Tony Pollard wins again. I mean, you're giving up a lot of wide receiver depth, so I don't know if you have any more wide receiver depth on that team, but you might be putting yourself at a really thin position, but I'll take Mahomes and Tony Pollard once again there. Organic sends in a question, says, couple of comps here. Could we see Tony Pollard have Eckler-like season with the rushing yard plus receptions? No, not the receptions. Again, you got to remember, Eckler had 107 receptions last year. So can Tony Pollard get 70 receptions? I think that's even out of the realm of possibility. I think that's a little too much. Now, can he have a Eckler-like season in terms of, hey, I'm rushing for 18 rushing touchdowns this year? Abso-freaking-lutely. That's the hope for his top 3 potential upside, you know? Also, Lamar Jackson in a new offense gives 2020 Kyler vibes, stat-wise, top 3 finish. Would you agree? I mean, the potential's there. The only thing that has ever held back Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson's health. That's it. That is the only thing. Regardless of the fact that his top receiving options last year were Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman. And, you know, like he didn't have anybody he was throwing the ball to, yet he was still an efficient quarterback. So imagine you increase those overall, you know, passing attempts, the volume in which you do so. You're throwing the ball to upgraded wide receivers, bringing in Odell Beckham Jr., bringing in Zay Flowers, having a Rashad Bateman that's healthy. The upside's there. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he could be a top 3 quarterback organic. Okay, so Gated, we got your second question. 2 more spots, guys. Yeah, 1 more spot, guys. 1 more spot. Again, I'll drop the link in the description if you guys want to sign up today using code Andrew and draft with us at this current moment in time. It's a $3 buy-in. If you guys are interested, we need 1 more position, 1 more team. How do I join? The link is in the description. Or not in the description. I just posted it in the chat trophies. Thank you. E. Rocco says, hi, Andrew. Please help. I have the number 2 pick. Which way should I go? I have 1 Christian McCaffrey, 2 Gibbs, 3 Mixon, or 1 McCaffrey, 2 Mark Andrews, 3 Lamar Jackson. I would prefer, wow. So you're saying, Andrew, should I go triple RB or diversify and get Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson? I would go, oh my God, I'd go triple RB. I'd go triple RB there. Might be a little crazy, but that's what I would do. Dominic Bueno says, especially if those are the 2 options you're giving me, I'd go triple RB. Dominic says, rate my team. I have Burrow, Watson, Eckler, Gibbs, Zeke, JT, Higgins, Metcalf, Amari Cooper, DJ Moore. Wow. Okay. I mean, I love the wide receiver depth. I have no complaints about that at all. I think Eckler and Gibbs are a great 1-2 combo in a full PPR scoring format, to say the very least. I think Burrow's great. At quarterback, your tight ends are Chigozimo, Okonkwo, and Schultz, so I don't really have a problem with that either. Your suggestion was to drop Schultz for Charbonnet. Yes, that is my suggestion. Again, we talked about this team a little bit earlier. You have a lot of wide receiver depth that is solid. Would I love for this team to have a better tight end? Sure, but quite frankly, you have Chigozimo, Okonkwo, and Schultz. The only thing at this point is, like, do you need Charbonnet? I think you might need him because, you know, Zeke's not a startable prospect in my mind, and JT missing time requires that you need to have another running back on roster. So that's why I'm suggesting you make that swap. Man, we need 1 more person. Come on, guys. Somebody do it. Somebody help. My draft is tomorrow. Let's go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. XD's 4325. Thank you very much for the super chat. Says, in a 12 team. Oh my God, we filled it out. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Thank you. Let's do it. Let's finish this out. Let's have ourselves a great draft here. I think I am the last pick of the draft. I am. I'm number 12. Beautiful. Let's pull up the draft board and let's let it ride. Okay, so XDs, you say you have Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, Dalvin Cook, and Zach Charbonnet, along with A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Quentin Johnston, Chark, Goddard, Juwan Johnson, Herbert. Wi-Fi went out mid-draft. The draft got, in the middle of the draft, got Cook. Pick up Mims, Bateman, or MVS. Yeah, I would drop Chark, and I would pick up Marvin Mims right now immediately if you can. Hopefully it doesn't require any fab, or it doesn't. If you guys are playing on a continuous rolling list in terms of your rotation, hopefully you're not going to get jumped to the back of the line by making this pickup. Hopefully you guys play in leagues in which your commissioner has set it to where any players after the draft are considered free agents, so that they don't impact your overall standing of your waivers. But in my mind, man, 2 top 12 wide receivers, that's great. Bijan Robinson, stud. The unfortunate nature of this draft is that you don't have wide receiver depth. I mean, in a 12-team league, the fact that your third best wide receiver is Quentin Johnston scares me, because Quentin Johnston may not even be starting week 1. And then at least you have Justin Herbert, which is great. You have a quarterback. You don't have to worry about it. Juwan Johnson, Dallas Goedert, that's fine. You have a tight end. It's just a matter of wide receiver depth. Where is it? It doesn't exist. So now, yes, like you were mentioning, we got to go pick up players. I think Marvin Mims provides more upside than Chark, especially considering Chark's dealing with injury and may be playing the third wide receiver fiddle within that team for Carolina. Let's see here. What do we got? Miguel in the chat was saying, "Hey Andrew, I'm the 9th pick in a 10-team full PPR league. I have available Saquon, Chubb, Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. Who should I draft in my first and second rounds?" Okay, assuming those 4 players are available for us in a full PPR scoring format, you can go one of 2 ways. The approaches that I would go for is either I'm going Diggs and CeeDee Lamb and I'm punting on running back and let it come back to me later, and I'll pick up running back future rounds. Because it's a 10-team league, you can do that. And I do believe both CeeDee Lamb and Stephon Diggs in a full PPR probably outscore Saquon. Could even get to the point of outscoring Chubb. But so that's route number 1. You take Diggs and you take CeeDee Lamb. Otherwise, if you want more of a balanced squad, you probably just take Diggs with Chubb and you let it roll that way. So it's just a matter of how you want to build your team. I think in a 10-team league, you can get away with stacking double wide receivers. And if you do so, I wouldn't think it's a bad idea at all. MB Golf says, what should I do with Jonathan Taylor in a 14-team Superflex league? I drafted him at the end of the 3rd. What you do for right now is most likely hope that he is going to play for... Actually, you know what I got to do real quick? You got to hope that he plays as soon as he's off the pup. That's what you got to hope for. Is it going to happen? I mean, we can pray for it, but not certain it's going to happen. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to just stack up some of my favorites. Like I have Amon-Ra St. Brown ranked below what's his name? AJ Brown, but I also have Derrick Henry ranked above Tony Pollard, but I'm just going to grab guys that I just like. Like, I mean, at this point, we're having fun. These are players that are 1 or 2 ranks next to those other guys. Just give me the guys that are going to potentially provide the omega upside that I'm looking for. Potentially, we'll see. It could just blow up in my face. We'll see what happens. But I like these guys. So in terms of getting back to your question, Miguel, yeah, if it's me and I'm in a full PPR league, I probably just take the balanced route, because I don't know what the rest of your team or the rest of your league looks like in terms of what they draft. If you're like, hey, my league is so hell-bent on drafting running backs, Andrew, if I don't address one early, they're all going to be gone before that 3rd round. Then I say, okay, let's grab one of those 2 running backs. Otherwise, you just go double wide receiver, because they probably could outscore those running backs respectively. Let's see here. To infinity and Bijan. That is Lucero. That is a great one. Yeah, that is actually a really good team name. If you guys draft Bijan Robinson, I like that. And then you have to get a Buzz Lightyear and you got to Photoshop Bijan Robinson into the helmet. That's what you got to do. CK Jordan says, I was unable to join. I play Underdog all the time and also logged in, but when I clicked the link, it would take me nowhere. You know, CK, somebody yesterday when we were doing a live stream said the exact same thing, where they would click on the link, but it would go nowhere. I don't know what the problem is there. I'll probably look into it, but yeah, that's someone else yesterday also said that. Z Trophy says 12-man full PPR, 7th pick, Lamar, Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Tyreek Hill, D-Hop, Njoku, Lockett. So you start with Tyreek Hill, you follow with Pollard. In the 3rd round, who did you go? Did you take Lamar in the third and then Kenneth Walker in the fourth, or vice versa? I think that in a 12-team league, that may have been a little premature for a 7th overall pick. But I mean, if you like Lamar and you think he has top 3 quarterback upside, he can be one of those guys that can reach that 400-point limit, then I can understand the overall investment there. Then you go Kenneth Walker, then you go D-Hop, which makes sense. Then you go Lockett, then Njoku. That's fine afterward. I'm questioning whether that Lamar pick was a little too early, perhaps. That's the only thing I'm wondering. Let's see here. XD says, yeah, it was auto picking Dalvin and Jeff Wilson. Really screwed me. And there was some great wide receiver value. Yeah, that's unfortunate, XDs. I mean, hey, if the internet goes out, really, you just you leave it up to the fantasy gods at that point, right? Tay Win says, would you draft Derrick Henry and Mike Williams for? Sorry, would you do Derrick Henry and Mike Williams for Stephon Diggs and Cam Akers? No, I would keep Derrick Henry and Mike Williams. My other players consist of Lamar, Bijan, Ridley, Waller, and London. So basically what you're saying is you have wide receiver depth. Wait, I don't understand. Who are you trading for? Because if you have Derrick Henry and Mike Williams, I think you should keep them. Like that's where I'm kind of leaning towards Tay. Kamek. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce that. We're going to call you Kazik. Kazik, what's up? Says, chat, help me. Since Taylor is out, should I trade Njoku for Jamal Williams and pick up a tight end like Juwan Johnson or Okonkwo? You know what? Wow, that is actually a great idea. You supplement Jonathan Taylor with Jamal Williams because Jamal Williams will be in the lone back role for New Orleans. The only thing is, you're doing this for a 3-week boost. And is David Njoku going to provide more value than Okonkwo, Higbee, Kmet? Honestly, the fact that Higbee's still available, I'd make that move if you want. Go get Higbee and then just supplement Jamal Williams in there to begin with. I don't mind it. I mean, is it a fearful play? I don't think it technically is. The only thing is you have to really hope Jamal Williams finds the end zone in every single one of those games. The issue is week 1 he plays against Tennessee. And there is Taysom Hill still running around like a monster, stealing touchdowns. Wow, Jonathan Taylor at the end of the third. Again, that's a little too rich for my blood, in my opinion. Man, the fact that running back just is not even on. Who's available? Is Mixon still available? No. Where did Mixon go in this draft? Mixon went at the end of the second. That makes sense. Okay. We have Ramondre available. We have ETN. We have Najee Harris. Okay, I like these options. We have Debo. We have Keenan Allen. Okay, cool. Hawkinson, who's at quarterback. Joe Burrow. Don't like that. So what we'll do is we'll go with the following. I'll take Keenan Allen. And then what I'll probably do at this point, do I want ETN, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, or Ramondre? I think what I'm going to do is ETN here. Let's do that, and we'll let it ride. All right. Moving back to the questions. Zay sent in a question. Thank you very much, Zay. Zay says, in a 10-team full PPR league with 1 flex, would you ever go Bijan Robinson at 1.05, even with Kupp and Hill available? In a full PPR league, no, I wouldn't. I'd be too scared to. I think leaving the volume of points that Tyreek Hill and Kupp provide at a full PPR capacity and going Bijan, wow, that would be tough for me. That would be tough. I'll be honest. I don't think I'd do it. Corey, Mickey says, I just drafted. The team is Daniel Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Najee Harris, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Dallas Goedert, Cam Akers, Greg Joseph. What's the scoring for, Corey? Mateo in the chat was saying, I got Diggs, Chubb, Keenan Allen, Cooper in the first 4 rounds. Diggs, Chubb, Keenan Allen, Cooper. Yeah, that's great. Thoughts? I mean, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. Again, as you can tell from the draft board as it currently sits, Amari Cooper went really early in the third. So the fact that you're able to get him in the fourth with Keenan Allen there on that kind of turn, great investments overall. Wide receiver core is, okay, this is Cade. Cade Lawler says, my wide receiver core is Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, and Jamar Chase. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I mean, what are your thoughts? How does it feel to have 3 top 12 wide receivers? That's my question. Which website are you guys drafting on where you can get Calvin Ridley as late as you guys are? Because honestly, It's ridiculous. He goes in the second round in Underdog, and it makes sense because he's supposed to, right? Like that's the whole point. I don't understand where you guys are getting all this incredible value at. Is it ESPN? Is it Yahoo? Where is it? Because that's where I got to change my home league so I can take advantage of this. All right, Sebastian, we saw your question. I did miss it. Apologies. Sebastian had asked earlier, would you trade Hawkinson and Lawrence for Andrews and Kirk Cousins? Would I trade Hawkinson? No, I wouldn't. I'd rather have Hawkinson and Lawrence. Starters consist of Eckler, Madison, Lamb. Yeah, I'd rather have Lawrence and Hawkinson than Andrews and Kirk Cousins. Thank you. And the primary reason because of that is because of the difference at quarterback. I think Lawrence is significantly better for fantasy purposes, considering he has the mobility aspect, and I think his passing yardage potential can not only just match what Kirk Cousins does, but perhaps even surpass it this year. What are we at here? Where are we at? Eli says, would you trade Addison and Sanders for Ridley? It purely depends on what you have, Eli. I don't know what your roster looks like in terms of depth. If you're at a point where you're like, I have 3 solid running backs, then I'm like outside of Sanders, then okay, sure, we can make that trade. Absolutely. But outside of that, it's tough. Kazik says, I have Christian McCaffrey and Swift, Penny, Gibson at RB, by the way. Thanks for the help, Andrew. Where is your question originally, Kazik? I forget where the heck it was. It was definitely up here. Where the heck was the first question? Let's go find it. The F3 function is always on my top screen, of course. F3, Kazik. He was asking about making that move to. Oh, okay. So this was in regards to the running back depth that you have. So you're thinking about getting Jamal Williams to supplement for, what's his name? To supplement for Jonathan Taylor, but you have McCaffrey, you have Swift, you have Penny, you have Gibson. Yeah, you don't need to make that trade. You don't need to. You can, but you don't need to. You have enough running back depth. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, that's fine. Lucero says, look up a highlight reel for Bijan Robinson. Brother, I understand that. I understand how good of a football player he is. I understand everything. Trust me. I literally do this all day long. I'm aware. But in a full PPR scoring format, right? Especially considering we don't know how much receiving upside and work and utilization Bijan's going to get within that offense. In a full PPR scoring format, inherently, those 2 wide receivers, Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp, have positional advantages. They are going to catch over 100 balls each, and because of that, in a full PPR, they are more valuable and they are safer picks overall. It's not to say that they have more upside, because Bijan Robinson, if he catches the ball 70 times this year, he'll be the better player. That's a given. But is he going to catch the ball that many times? I don't think so. You know, thoughts on my team from the 4th spot? Mark Maloney, where are we at? Christian McCaffrey, Devonta Smith, Jalen. Okay, so we have the stack there, and then we go for the tight end. I mean, let's see what your running backs eventually look like. Otherwise, pretty good start. I think Devonta Smith in the 2nd round is a little too early for me, but considering you're going for the Philadelphia stack, I don't mind it. My wide receiver core is Chase. Yeah, that's crazy, Kate. I don't even know how you. Yeah, that's disgusting. Okay, we had a couple more questions here. Zay, we took care of your question. Kareem says 10-team full PPR, tight end premium, 1 flex, Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Mark Andrews. Perfect. I love that you prioritize tight end because you have to in a tight end premium. If you're getting 1.5 points per reception, Mark Andrews is a monster. He should be a 2nd round pick minimum. The fact that you get Bijan Robinson and Mark Andrews and Saquon Barkley is ridiculous. You eventually also get Josh Allen. You punted a little bit on wide receiver, but that's fine because you get Lockett and Godwin, and you also get the depth of Ayuk and Swift and London. That's a pretty good start, Kareem. For a league in which you have a tight end premium, 10 teams, that's great. Ravi says, how are you, Andrew? In a 12-team full PPR league, I have Burrow, Diggs, Lamb, Higgins. Okay, really good wide receiver. We have Sanders, Swift as my 1 and 2, Kittle as my tight end, Burrow as my quarterback. Any trade suggestions? I wouldn't make any trades at the moment. I think the studs that you have at wide receiver need to stay within your team because of the PPR nature. You just have to hope that Swift and Sanders can pull the workload that they need to produce. They need to find the end zone. Hopefully, Swift will be that goal line back for the team. And if that ends up being the case, you'll have no problems and you'll have really no need to change anything from this team. Okay, let's see what other questions came in. We talked about Kareem's. Okay. Chi-Town says, in an 8-man half PPR, I have pick number 4. Would you take Eckler or Hill at the first pick? In a half PPR, I would probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Let me go find my rankings half PPR. I think I have Eckler in a half PPR ahead of Tyreek. I could be wrong. Let me find this. In a half PPR, I have Tyreek Hill at 5. I have Eckler at 6. I literally have them back to back. Would I mind taking Eckler over Tyreek Hill? I don't mind it. Not one bit. Because again, Eckler has kind of proven consistency. Wait, was I on the board? Oh, I didn't even realize. What did I go? Double wide receiver? Oh, no. I would have loved tight end. Wait, did tight end come off the board after me? Dude, I could have gotten Kittle here. All right, back to answering questions. Wasn't even paying attention, guys. Sorry. So in regards to Tritan's question, I don't mind taking Eckler there. I don't mind taking Hill there. In fact, I probably think Hill scores more points per game than him this year. So with that in regards, I'll probably go Hill. There's the risk of it with Tua, of course, lean me back towards Eckler. I don't really have a fear of Tua's concussions. It doesn't keep me up at night. I'd go Tyreek Hill there. Arthur W says, in a 10-team full PPR league, 1 flex, I have Burrow, Jonathan Taylor, Dobbins, Connor Swift. Man, we better hope that Dobbins, Connor Swift can hold it together before JT comes back, if he does come back. JJ, Amon-Ra, Olave, you have great wide receivers. You have Waller, you have Burrow. Should I look for any trades? I mean, look, at this point, if you're going to make any trades, you're going to lose value in my mind. At this point, you kind of just have to ride out the first 3 weeks and see how it goes. And then, first 4 weeks, excuse me. And then, unless you find someone that is willing to take on JT, I think the main approach that you would probably go through is, hey, if you are struggling early in the season and you need running back depth, and then there's a team that's like 2-0, you say, hey, you want Jonathan Taylor? You're already 2-0. You want to kind of just run it this way? Give me a running back in exchange. You could end up kind of making a play like that. Let's see here. Yeah, I see you guys in the chat saying, Andrew, you're auto drafting. I wasn't even paying attention, man. Yeah, I'm just talking to you guys. Sorry. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Where are we at? How do we feel about Mike Evans and DeAndre Hopkins this year? DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver 2 potential, if not better. Mike Evans has that upside, but he was really inconsistent last year. Baker Mayfield's going to have to play really well in order to get Mike Evans to a sustainable point. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. We have 9 more minutes left in the stream. At 10:30, I'm calling it PST. Are we doing another draft? Jesus, we are not. Today, this will be it. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow. How am I looking at the third spot? All right, well, let's see where we're at. So we went McCaffrey, we went with Devon Smith, we went Jalen Hurts, DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson, James Cook, and Cam Akers. Look, that's more of what I like to see. Even though I do think Devonta Smith that early is kind of crazy. Yeah, I do think that's kind of crazy. But of the available wide receivers that were left, it makes sense. Then you take Hurts, you take DJ Moore, you take Hawkinson, positional advantage. You get 2 stud running backs who have RB2 upside. I don't have a problem with it. It's just a matter of what is your wide receiver depth going to look like afterward, because this kind of a league starts 3 wide receivers, right? Okay, where are we at here? Dylan says, I'm picking 9 in a 10-team league. Looking for you to rate my overall roster and lineup. We have Josh Allen, Ridley, Moore, Bijan, Chubb, Gerald Everett, and Gabe Davis. I don't like Gerald Everett, but I could potentially make an argument for Gerald Everett being a good fantasy tight end this season, primarily because of the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and how much he utilized Dalton Schultz in the last couple of years with Dallas. I could make an argument for Gerald Everett being potentially a good option. But there are so many mouths to feed within that offense. I don't know if it's going to be consistent. That being said, Allen, Bijan, Chubb, Ridley, Moore, good to go. I don't know what the rest of your running back depth looks like, but in a 10-team league, I would assume it looks good. Dram says, what do you think about the team so far? Dram, are you named Dram in this? Wait, am I on the clock again? Okay. I'm not going to mess this up. Thank you for asking that question, because now I can get back to this. Give me the DeAndre Swift, and then give me Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, at this point, tight end's done. Just give me Give me the quarterback. All right, let's keep it moving. Goodness gracious. I'm glad that I answered that question. Otherwise, I wouldn't have looked back up. Where are we at here? Is Dram in here? Dram, where you at, man? Yeah, I don't know where your team is, Dram. Are you talking about there or in the chat? XDs sends in another question. Okay, so we have a couple more people. So do we take care of Arthur? Arthur, we took care of your team. Again, I don't really want to move from the running back depth. I just want to keep it and see how it kind of transpires. Josh Hannon. Josh Hannon, where you at, my man? Josh Hannon's question is 12 teams, PPR, pick 8. Justin Fields, Bijan Robinson, Aaron Jones, A.J. Brown. Okay, already pretty solid team. Deebo Samuel, Tyler Higbee. We end up getting Evans, Algier, A.J. Dillon, Charbonnet. Man. Dude, your handcuff / depth is, they're all handcuffs. Tyler Algier, A.J. Dillon, Charbonnet in given weeks could have value. But man, it's going to be hard to start them at flex over the course of a given week. So I guess Evans will be your flex until otherwise noted. But in terms of your main pillars, going Bijan to A.J. Brown to Aaron Jones, Fields, Deebo, pretty solid there. But yeah, that depth that you have on your bench is, they have a lot of upside, but they're going to require some injuries to take place to other players for them to actualize said upside. Okay, let me go ahead. Considering we're getting close to 10:30, we're going to swap this real quick back to the main screen. Hopefully I'm in focus. Yep. Okay, guys, it is hot in this room. I'm sweating, especially underneath this sweatshirt. Speaking of this hoodie, if you guys haven't checked out AndrewKiorkofShop.com, be sure to go ahead, travel down to the description of the video. It's also pinned on the top of the chat. So if you guys are interested, support the channel via the merch. Again, I've made sure to curate high quality clothing, and that is the number one point of this entire like merchandise brand. Many people over the last couple of years have asked Andrew, are you going to do merch? And the only thing I've ever said is I'll only do it if I can provide high quality material. That's it. And that's what I've gone ahead and I've procured over the course of the last couple months with the dream team that I've collected of people that are really talented in the industry of clothing. So I'm telling you, high quality stuff. For those of you who have already gone ahead and ordered, thank you in advance. And of course, hopefully we're going to get ourselves all those products coming your way. I know the first batch of orders is already on its way out. So hopefully you guys will get that soon and everything's looking good to go. A couple more questions after Josh Hannon. We had XDs. XDs said 10 team touched. Okay, what is it? 10 team standard touchdown premium. No playoffs. Pick 4. Leaning towards Bijan Robinson or Chase. Has boomers, it's possible 2 QBs or one go in one round. How does this strat change? Okay, so what is a touchdown premium? Are you getting 10 points per touchdown? Is that what's going on? If you're playing in a standard league where it's 10 points per touchdown, I'd take Bijan Robinson over Jamar Chase. I would actually heavily prioritize running back in that format. I would. Where would you take Gibbs in a touchdown premium? I wouldn't. I'd take Montgomery because I want touchdowns, right? How should I adjust your flex PPR rankings for a 6-point per passing touchdown format? Jared, hopefully by the end of this week, I can have a 6-point per passing touchdown format rankings list. It is really different. And that's typically the reason why I don't have the list, because it requires Mahomes coming off the board at 1.01, and it really shifts everything. So hopefully if I can get a little bit more time on my hands this week, I can have those rankings ready to go for Underdog and Patreon supporters. So that'd be the plan. But yeah, it definitely shifts heavily. I wouldn't be able to expect you to look at my rankings and be able to adjust it because it is such a huge difference, because Mahomes would go 1.01. I think Allen justifies at 2, Hurts justifies at 3, and then it's Justin Jefferson, and then maybe Burrow at 4 or at like 5 or 6. It's weird. It's a weird league. Okay, a couple more questions. We took our XDs. We had Raul M says 12 team PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. Am I on the clock again? I am. Let me go ahead and make some picks real quick. Boom. We'll take Nico Collins there. I don't think I need that, but I'll take it, and I'll take Tyler Higbee alongside of him to get my first tight end on the board. We're good to go. Appreciate it. Keeping it going. So Raul says Eckler, Pollard, Fields, Cooper, London, Mike Williams, Akers, Deontay, Sutton, I mean, look, the fact that you have two really good running backs and then you have a top four, top five quarterback in that regard. You did punt on wide receiver, but that's fine because you end up with guys that have wide receiver 2 upside, whether it's Cooper, London, Mike Williams, or Deontay Johnson. You have Akers as your depth play. You have Sutton, who has potential upside because of Judy's injury. You have 2 good solid tight ends at Higbee and Juwan Johnson. Should I make a trade or stay? Love the content. So in terms of making a trade, what are we looking to upgrade at? Because you're not going to upgrade really at tight end much, because unless you're going to go and you're going to trade for Waller, Kittle, Hawkinson, you're not going to make a huge upgrade, so you don't need to. You're not upgrading at running back. You're not upgrading at quarterback. So really, if you want to make an upgrade at wide receiver, you're going to have to get rid of a lot of depth, and at that point, I don't think it's worth it. Unless you're trading away like Mike Williams and Deontay Johnson and moving up and trying to get someone like a Garrett Wilson. I mean, if someone in your league is going to let you do that, then maybe we make the play for that. But otherwise, we just keep it moving and let it roll. Okay, guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. Again, this is the 3rd day in a row of streaming. How long was today's stream? We started at around 8:35, and it's about 10. So this is the 3rd day in a row. The first day was 2.5 hours. Yesterday was 2 hours. Today's almost 2 hours. That's where we typically like to go ahead and call it. I do appreciate you guys coming through. We took care of Raul's question. Matt Berry 2.0 came back in with another question. I will be back tomorrow if you guys have questions, of course. I'll try to answer as many questions in the comment section as I possibly can. Again, if you guys want to get a hold of me and ask me individual questions at a maximum capacity, the best way to do that is via Patreon. You can message me on Discord through Patreon or through the Patreon Messenger, unlimited questions. If you guys are interested, there's a link down in the description. Outside of that, Matt Berry's final question of the day. Here we go. Says, I got offered David Montgomery and Chris Olave for St. Brown and got offered T. Higgins and Javonte Williams for St. Brown. What do you think? At this point, if you need the running back depth, Matthew Berry 2.0, I would think that the first trade would suffice. That's what I'm thinking. Outside of that, I do appreciate y'all. Dan Hart in the chat says, hey, Andrew, Lawrence versus Kittle as a keeper in a weird keeper league. I mean, what does a weird keeper league even mean, man? There's not enough context there. I don't even know the scoring format. If I'm keeping one of the two, let's keep the quarterback. I don't know, man. I don't know what kind of keeper league it is. Anyway, guys, thank you everybody for watching. Until next time, we are cueing the music, and I'll see you guys. Good night. Peace.